Hey guys, Courtney from CD Exotics here. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We are 7 subscribers away from our 500 subscriber giveaway. So make sure you go check out that video. I'll put the link in the description. Check that out. I'm giving away a sensor push. You don't want to miss that. Even if you're already subscribed, make sure you go check out that video so you can enter and possibly win that sensor push. Those things are amazing. I did a review in that last video also, so check that out. But today's video, we're going to be talking about rats, and I want to talk about some size differences between ASFs and regular rats, because I get a lot of questions and I see a lot of questions about that, and I don't see a lot of answers for people, and I don't see a lot of information out there. So I wanted to kind of explain, how my lines seem to compare to my lines of regular rats. So I've been seeing a lot of people asking questions about how long does it take a ASF to get to a feedable size, how big do they even get. I see a lot of these questions, and said I don't see too many people that have answers or just kind of guesstimates, and I was one of those people. I was like, oh well, they get size when they get size. So the last couple weeks I've been tracking the sizes, and I had marked, I think it's down at the bottom now, I actually might have fed a lot of them off, but I had marked a tub on the date that I weaned, and then every week I was weighing them to try and figure out, how fast were they growing, because, I really didn't know. I just knew, I kept them around until they got to a big enough size, and it is what it is. But I know that a lot of people, are thinking about getting into ASFs, and they really want to know, are they worth their time? Are they better off with regular rats? And a lot of it just depends on your situation. I will say that regular rats, hands down, they beat ASFs as far as growth. You don't have to grow them out nearly as long. They grow super fast. ASFs do not. That's a pro and a con. I do have another video that I kind of explain the pros and the cons of rats versus ASFs. I'll put that in the description below also. Make sure you check that one out. That one has a lot of good information as well. But this video I'm going to try and stick to just sizes. So I've got some notes here. I wrote down all their sizes. So I usually wean my ASFs at 4 weeks. And I've got a couple here. So this is a 4-week-old ASF. Hopefully it doesn't try and bite me. That's 4 weeks old. That is weaned. I just weaned it yesterday. So, and that one is about 16 grams, which is about the size of a rat fuzzy and some smaller rat pups. More the size of a fuzzy. And I pulled out a rat fuzzy as well. Give me 1 second here, and I'm going to kind of show you guys a comparison between the two, the ASF and the rat fuzzy. So hopefully you guys can kind of see. These two both weigh the same. I just weighed them right now. They both weigh the same. Okay, but you can see how active this one is and how this one is just kind of crawling here. I mean, it's still kind of borderline pinky. Doesn't have a ton of fur, but it is getting some fur. But it's really not very active, whereas this one, if I wasn't holding its tail, it would be long gone, which makes it great for feeding your hatchlings because it's very active. I mean, I start my hatchlings off with that size, unless it is a tiny hatchling. I start them on that size, and probably, I mean, I haven't had a ton of hatchlings, but probably 98% of my hatchlings eat that first meal that I offer them. And I usually offer them a meal about a day or two after they shed. And they usually eat every single week. And, I mean, it works great for me. I said, I don't breed mice. My snakes never eat mice. I only do the ASFs. And, you know, it did take 4 weeks instead of a week. So at 4 weeks, they're about 16 grams, usually between about 13 and 18. But I would say, you know, 16 is about average where they're at when I wean them. At 5 to 6 weeks, they're about 30 grams, which is like a size of like a smaller weaned rat. Which weaned rats, you know, you wean rats in 3 weeks, so you're looking at a 2 to 3 week difference already, just in a weaned rat size. Then 6 to 7 weeks, you're looking at 42 grams for an ASF, which is a very large weaned rat, not quite as small. So that's still about 3 weeks. So now you're 3 to 4 weeks behind. And then 7 to 8 weeks, you're looking at about 48 grams, which is a small rat, a smaller small rat, but still small. And it takes them about 4 weeks to get to a small rat. So you're at about double the time to get the ASFs to the same size as the rats. Which I know at this point you guys are probably like, well, why do you breed ASFs then? Because, you know, it's taking twice as long to get there. But I will say that my snakes, they grow so much better on the ASFs. They eat so much better on the ASFs. I mean, you can kind of see the size that I keep. I mean, I do a 1-3 colony in this size tub that barely takes up any space, and I do a 1-3 colony in the big black cement tubs, and they produce about the same amount of babies. I mean, I get probably a few more babies out of these than I do the regular rats. So, and I'm producing them in like a third of the space. You know, I mean, it's almost 3 colonies to 1 colony. So, if space is an issue, you know, even though I do have to have the grow outs, I still have 27 colonies here of ASFs and 7 grow out spots in the same amount of space that I can have, you know, 12 slots of rats. And then some of them have to be grow outs because you still have to grow them out. So, I mean, it's a huge difference. Like I said, they also eat better too on them. So I don't mind growing them out longer versus the regular rats, but it's all preference. You know, and these guys eat less, so even though you are feeding them for twice as long, I feel like I still feed them less food than I have to feed the same rat to get to that same size. 8 to 9 weeks, I feel like they kind of plateau at this point at about 60 grams. And they kind of stay at around 60 grams. You'll get some that are 70, but I feel like that's kind of the range that mine stay at until I start breeding them. Once I start breeding them, they will get a little bit bigger. My ex-breeders are usually between 90 and 100 grams, and that's like max. I mean, some people might have bigger ASFs, but for my line of ASFs, 100 grams is about max. You know, and that's a small medium. But I still feed my females I feed 3,000 gram females 1 ASF a week. If they do still look hungry, I will feed them a second, but I don't feed more than 2. And I would do the same with the rats too. You know, I feed 1 a week. And if they look hungry, I'll feed them a second. Or if they have just recently laid and I'm trying to get some size back on them, I will offer a second one. But, I mean, a lot of times my females don't take a second one. You know, I mean, unless they're really building and really being food aggressive, they don't take a second one. And I mean, I have some big females. I just had, you know, my last clutch was 11 eggs, you know, from a 3,000 plus gram female, and she wasn't that size when I got her. So I mean, they will grow and they will get big on the ASFs. I have some 2019 holdbacks that are already 1,000 grams, and you know, I mean, they're just over a year old, and they've been fed ASFs the whole time. I mean, they've skipped a few weeks, but not many. They don't skip many weeks, and I don't feed huge meals. I don't, you know, the next day you can't tell that I fed. You know, a lot of times, you know, within an hour you can't tell that I fed. So, and they still grow really, really well on these ASFs. As far as pinkies, fuzzies, hoppers, I don't even mess with them until they're ready to be weaned. There's just no point. They're too small. They're about the equivalent to mouse pinkies, fuzzies, hoppers. You know, pinkies are 2 grams, fuzzies are about 7 grams, hoppers are about 12 grams. I mean, that's basically where mice are. If I have a really small hatchling, you know, I had one that was like 60 grams. I did feed that one a hopper. But, I mean, most of my hatchlings have been 80-ish grams, and they all get a weaned ASF. So I guess if you had, you know, corn snakes or something that you needed smaller things for, then you'd worry about that. But for ball pythons, you don't even touch these guys until they're weaned. And I wanted to, I've also got here, I have a small rat and I have an ASF. These are both weigh the same. You can see they're both similar size. I mean, this one is definitely a little bit more, I feel like, compact, I guess. You know, this one's also twice as old. So that is kind of, you can see, you know, small rat versus the same size ASF. I said it did take about an extra month to get there, but that small rat next week is going to be a medium and too big for most everything except my bigger females. And then the week after, what am I going to do with it other than feed it to the boa? Whereas that ASF, if I don't get to it this week, I don't feel like I have to like immediately throw it in the freezer because it's going to be too big. Because it's not really going to grow much more than that unless I put it, you know, in one of my breeding colonies and start breeding it. So that's the beauty of that. They do take a little bit longer to breed, but I don't sex my grow outs, which with rats you kind of have to. But I don't sex these guys, and I don't really pay attention to how old they are. I have had babies in my grow out tubs. Usually what I do is I'll mark my breeding colonies with, you know, if I see that they're not being very productive, I'll mark them, and then next time I see a grow out tub that has some obviously pregnant females in it, I'll feed off that breeding colony and I'll start a new breeding colony, and they're already ready to go, having babies within a week. So it's kind of nice the way I do that. Like I said, it's just really nice not having to worry about them getting too big for my snakes, because right now I only have one boa that can eat something that's bigger than, you know, I mean, I could probably feed a large rat to a couple of my females, but I don't like feeding live mediums really, or large rats. Their teeth are huge, they're just big. The ASFs, even my ex-breeders, like, I have no problem feeding those live. You know, but the medium and large rats, I don't like doing that. I feel like those need to be pre-killed or frozen, because they have big teeth. So I hope that this video was helpful for you guys. Let me know if there's more that you want to know about the ASFs. I feel like I've been pretty successful with them. I love the ASFs. I do still keep some rats around, and I was wanting to completely get rid of them, and probably won't. I probably actually will start breeding more of them just because I do want to start selling locally. And I have actually been selling the ASFs really good locally. And I know I've been seeing a lot more people online kind of talking about starting to breed ASFs and looking for ASFs, which I think is amazing. I'm really excited that people are kind of starting to accept the ASFs as a good feeder, because there's so many myths about them and stigmas around them that people for the longest time stayed away from them. And I've never had a snake get stuck on an ASF. They eat better on ASFs, but I've never had one where, you know, it absolutely refused a rat. Because I have some weeks where I have too many rats, and that week I feed rats. And I mean, yes, I'll have a few less that eat that week, but I mean, they're ball pythons. Everyone knows ball pythons don't eat that great, but they eat way better when you feed them ASFs. I will say most of mine eat at least 3 weeks out of the month. Most of them eat 4 weeks out of the month. You know, I mean, unless they're, you know, breeding season, you know, your males. But even my males, most of them eat all breeding season. So, I mean, that tells you something. I mean, this is what they eat in the wild. This is what they're used to. I mean, obviously, ours are captive, so, but they still have those instincts. So, I hope that this was kind of helpful. Kind of show some of the size differences. Time frames. Obviously, time frames are going to be different depending on lines. Rats are the same way. Some people's lines grow slow. Some people's lines grow fast. But I really just hope that was helpful for you guys. So make sure you like, subscribe, share. Like I said, we only need a couple more subscribers for the giveaway. I'll be doing the giveaway video probably a couple days after we hit 500. That'll give people a few more days to comment. I'm going to try and figure out if I can do it live, but because I do everything off my phone, I'm not sure if I can do a live YouTube giveaway right now, so I probably will have to pre-film it, but I will, you know, next video on Wednesday. Hopefully we've hit 500 by then, and I will let you guys know. We'll probably do the drawing next Sunday, but stay tuned. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time.